Manipulators rely on tricking your human psychology into trusting them. The first thing they do is take advantage of your automatic response to receiving a gift or favor. They ingratiate themselves to you and make you want to trust them because they're giving you a service. Small gifts and gestures may make influencing positive action way easier. Think about Costco, right? Why do you think Costco and Sam's Club give free samples, right? It's not because they love you. It's not because they're obligated to you or they're doing something nice. It's because giving you something for free makes you more likely to actually purchase something. They've ran studies on it. They have internal review boards. They only do it because they want to sell you more things. That's a pretty innocent example because it doesn't really bother people, and you know what? People like free food. An example that you're going to see a lot more is people giving you free trials to things, right? The whole 7-day free offer thing is just a manipulation tactic to get you to subscribe to something. Back in the 90s when replaceable razors were first coming out, Gillette was actually struggling to get people signed up to their service. So what did they do? They started handing out the applicator for the razors for free. But the problem was that you had to buy Gillette brand razors, and getting a refill was often more expensive than the cheap plastic that they gave you for free. So they give a little and then they expect a lot back. This has been studied endlessly by sociologists. If you give somebody a small gift, they're going to be more willing to just nod their head and say yes to whatever you ask. So rule number 1, beware gifts. Now, obviously, context matters, right? If you go up to your grandma and she gives you a gift, don't be like, "No, grandma, what are you trying to be, manipulator, bruh?" And that's when you suplex slam your grandma into the basement, tie her up, and kill her. No. If someone's giving you a genuine gift, you don't need to blow them out of the water, okay? If they're not a compliance professional and they're just trying to help you out and give you a freebie, that's all cool. Just accept their gracious gift and then make your assumptions about that. But just know, in your mind, your brain has checked a box and those people are now good people in your brain. Now, there's a couple factors why this is. Think about back during the Stone Ages when we were cavemen, right? If Unga gave you a fish and he was like, "Oh, Ooga Booga is a fish," right? You'd be like, "Oh, awesome. Unga just gave me a fish. Okay, I owe him a fish or I owe him a spear." Humans collaborating is basically why we have all the cool shit of civilization. In most cases, when humans are involved, 1 + 1 = 3. You can just get more done in a group setting. But the problem is that compliance professionals will use you being indebted to them. Think about if Unga was actually a fish pole salesman. Unga gives you a fish. "Hey man, I give you fish. Wanna buy pole?" And you'd be like, "Man, I don't really want to buy that fishing pole. I already have a fishing pole. But Unga did give me a free fish, so I might as well trade my 3 pairs for his fishing pole that's going to break." What Unga did was no different than a car salesman just being like, "Hey man, I like your tie." And oftentimes these gifts carry a social implication, right? If you refuse somebody's gift, you're the bad guy. If a Girl Scout was trying to give you a free bag of cookies and you're like, "No, stop manipulating me, man. You're part of the system. You're part of Big Cookie. Get the fuck away from me, you stupid bitch." No, you can't do that. You're going to look like a freaking schizo, and we don't want to do that. You're going to get ostracized. It's going to be a bad time. You're going to have to go to Reddit. So now I'm imagining you're wondering, "But Blaine, how do I avoid being indebted to people if they give me a gift?" Just accept their gift, but realize that anytime somebody gives you a gift, there might be a chance that they're trying to get something out of you. Always analyze motives. Now, we can't talk about manipulators without talking about relationships, right? That brings me to manipulator tactic number 2. Getting somebody to like you is the best manipulation tactic ever. If you like someone, your brain will automatically try to fill in the gaps and try to explain bad behavior away, or make any good action that they do even better in your mind. Again, this is a holdover from the Stone Ages where people would click up and if you were a friend, you were automatically a friend, etc., etc. Even in cases where it's not appropriate, like a police precinct, right? Police protecting each other, the thin blue line, all of that. Even when it's counterintuitive and they don't serve the public good, they'll still do it because that's just how our brains operate. We're very bad at being objective and reasonable with friends. So beware on Discord when somebody gives you a free nitro, okay, kitten? And how do you get somebody to like you? Just start talking about your similarities. When a politician who's the ultimate compliance professional, he's trying to get you to vote for him, what's the first thing a politician will say? "Oh, I'm just like you guys. I'm middle class. I ignore my 3 mansions and all the government money that I get yearly. I'm just like you guys. I'm just a working Joe, just a working stiff like you. I'm just like you. I'm just like, sorry, Mr. Millionaire Politician. I don't think you're actually like me because you have different incentives than me. You want to get donor money and you want to get all your whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't even want to get political. Every party does this. I don't care if you're left-leaning, right-leaning, European, American, South African, whatever you are. Every politician is going to try to relate to you. And if you relate to somebody, you're going to automatically subconsciously like them. So the best way to stop getting manipulated by those people is to just acknowledge what is happening and then change it. Speaking of change, why is it always nighttime when I record? There we go. Now that we're coming to the dawn of that realization, tactic number 3, manipulators will try to make an equal concession with you. The rule of reciprocity is an ironclad social rule. You give a little, I give a little. How important this is to sociology should be taught in elementary schools. Most people don't realize that negotiation tactics are just two people manipulating each other. So let's talk about how to get a one-up. Let me tell you guys a story about how I manipulated the person I bought my car into giving me a better deal. I came with a reasonably unfair deal. The car was only worth $7,000, so I started my negotiation at $5,000. And he was like, oh man, you know what? My car is actually really good. I'm going to ask for $9,000. He came in with the same tactic. And you know what happened? We negotiated and each person gave a little and we both felt screwed because I paid $500 less than MSRP and he got less for his car than he was probably desperate to sell it or whatever. The point is, giving and getting usually happens in a cyclical cycle. This has a term. It's called rejection then retreat. Anytime that you retreat into a different position, you're going to look like a reasonable party to negotiate with. And that's going to make the other person want to negotiate with you even more, making the whole process smoother. Remember, with all of this stuff, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you take all of this into account, you're going to feel like a manipulator. You're going to feel like you're doing some sort of social coercion or something. But the opposite of that is you're going to just get manipulated by people. So it's better to know what you're doing than just bumble around and do whatever. And oftentimes, when somebody employs these rejection then retreat strategies, they actually get better results. And the other person feels like they've engaged in a good parlay and will actually honor the bounds of their deal. Because when you feel like you've negotiated somebody down from whatever position that they initially made, you're going to feel like you have responsibility for the outcome. That's the difference between me negotiating up from my initial offer versus me being like, no, dude, I'm going to give you $7,000 no matter what you say. The dude's going to be like, man, screw you. Right? You're just a jerk. I don't want to deal with you, right? But I started from 6,000 and just worked my way up, and people feel responsible for the outcome, right? They feel more satisfied. They feel like what they did actually mattered. It's the same $7,000, right? You got to let people feel involved with everything, right? You got to make people feel comfortable. That's how you manipulate them. Speaking of which, how to stop people from doing that? You need to, every time you're negotiating with somebody, just think about all the other things that are happening. Do I like this person? Do I feel indebted to them? Did they give me a lollipop and now I want to give them my organ, right? You got to just put everything into context. And if you feel like somebody is manipulating you, you got to put a stop to it and fast. Oftentimes, this just comes with a breakdown of negotiation. But sometimes, especially in a relationship, you're going to like the person too much to actually understand what's going on with the manipulation. And if somebody's a bad actor, that's when crazy stuff happens. That's why we need to shoot PDF files. I'm serious. Let's get rid of them. In Minecraft, obviously. The thing is that most of the times the stakes aren't that high. Even when you're going to go get car insurance, right? You're going to get sales complied, right? But if you have a good head on your shoulders, you're going to realize what's happening, and then you'd be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go to a different insurance place or whatever it is. So in conclusion, scammer gets scammed. Don't use this to actually manipulate people. Just protect yourself. Okay, bye guys.